Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first open jam on Teach Me a Tune. All right, so we got one guy in here, or guy or gal. Hello. Maybe you can help me sound check. Am I coming in clear? Can you hear my guitar and my voice? Nice. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear any technical difficulties, especially on my first live stream. Hopefully get some more people in here. So, as you can see, I have my Logic session open so we can play to some tracks. I can even get that started now while we're waiting for people to come in. Hopefully we'll get some more. Okay. Let's see here. I was doing a blues one for today on my short. So that one's still up here, which is nice. I can play that. Maybe you can let me know if that track's coming through. That'd be awesome. We're able to hear that track come through. All right, so my one chatter in here, you have guitar out, or are you just watching? Let's try another vibe here. Excellent. Well, please feel free, since you're the only one here, you can shoot some questions in there or ask me to play something or ask me about a chord, and we can just kill some time with that too. If you think of any questions, let me know. I'll jump on this other jam here. It's in G. All right, so we had a little fun there. Hey, home recording made easy. David, my buddy, thanks for jumping in. All right, so we have a question here. One of the things I struggle with sometimes is chord progressions. Of course, yeah. Got any good rules of thumb for that? Definitely. I actually dedicated a few months of my life actually making an easy way to learn or to map out chord families. I could definitely pull one of those things on screen, but I would honestly start with C major chord family first, because chord progressions come from chord families. Of course, you're dealing with 2 to 4 chords, and then you're having different subsections of those chords, like in different orders. So starting with C is great because you don't have to deal with any sharps or flats, and you can see the letters as they are written. Don't have to worry about any of that any of those accidental notes in there. So starting with C. Now the funny thing is, if you know your alphabet from A to G, you should be good, because that's all we're using. We're not using anything else beyond G. Let's, I'll just go ahead and grab my chord guide. If you just give me a second here. Let's see. This chord guide is also free to download on my website. And if you go to teachmeatune.com/quick-start chord guide, you walk through the steps and you can get, just grab your email, pop it in. And I even have a 20-minute demo video that I show you how to use it, but we're here now, so let's just do it. All right. Oh, there we go. Let's see. If I had somebody producing this little live stream for me, I would just sit there and let them do all the work. But I gotta do all the grunt work in the beginning. Okay. All I need to do now is share the window. Hang tight, grab a sip of whatever you're drinking. Appreciate your patience. Let's see here. I'm gonna add, let's see, display capture. I might have to let that barking thing out. It's my lovely puppy that just likes to destroy everything. Okay. Here we go. Almost got it. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Nope. Let's see. Let's put that back there. Oh, I know why it wasn't showing up. Perfect. Okay. Okay. There we go. Boom. Here we are. So I have a one where all the chords of the chord family are there, plus the fancy ones. So what this is, I've made it circular because I think circles are great at representing things. We live on a circle, essentially. So you see I got home base in the middle there. And at 12 o'clock we have our C chord. And I've color coded everything as well, so that way you know if you see orange, that's major. And if you see green, that's minor. And then our hot pink is the diminished chord. We also have a little mood menu. I'll make this a little bigger so we can see it. It's just in case you're on your phone. Now this goes in layers, so we start off simple. That's how all songs should start off. They should start off simple, and then when you feel like you need some spice, then you can take one of those chords and do one of those fancy sounding chords, or those complex sounding chords that sounds kind of like a latte order from Starbucks, like a F major 9 or stuff like that, you know, non-fat. This is all 7 chords. That's all we have to start with. We don't have to go crazy. So how about I just go through C, F, and G, right? That's our 1, 4, 5. That's very basic. And then how about we go to the A minor? Back to C. Back to A minor. See, those minor chords also, you have a bunch of major chords in the beginning, and then once you go to a minor, it sounds like it shifts into a different part of the song. All of this is having the knowledge about a chord family. Nothing has to be complex. You just have to be willing to learn a little bit in the beginning. Now, what I was doing before with the jam that I was playing, we were in G, so it was a different one. Now if you're curious, if I was to grab up another one, I'll grab up another layer. Let's say we wanted to make things a little bit more interesting. Then I could take, we can work on our 7th chords, because that's the next ring that I added after this. So we're gonna go to page 2. Done. Okay, there we go. Page 2 is our 7th chords. And by learning a chord family this way, you can see the names plainly. We have all the major chords. Well, actually 2 of the 3 major chords actually are called major 7. The 5 chord, the one here, this one is actually a dominant 7 chord. So because of the scale that these chords sit on, the notation of the whole steps and half steps determine the type of chord that you play. So for example, the C major 7 chord, if you are familiar at all with intervals, now I'm trying not to go down a theory rabbit hole, but some of these things are absolutely necessary to bring up. So C major 7 is what? How many notes? It's 4. It's 4 notes consisting of the letters C, E, G, and B. The fundamental chord is just C, E, G, this one. All we're doing is we're adding another letter from the alphabet, and they're all alternating letters too. C, E, G, B is just every other letter in the alphabet starting on C. So let's hear that. It's a very nice chord. It sounds more singer-songwriter here and more jazzy here, but it's the same chord. It's because of the voicing. And then we can also do it here. It sounds a little sweeter. Hey, guy in the chat, you still with me? Or guy or gal, you're still with me in here? I could be just teaching the universe at this point. Feel free to jump in with questions at any time. Also, you can let me know if it's TMI. See if I'm teaching too much information. I always try to keep it simple if I can. Now, I know this is an open jam, so I should definitely get back to open jamming, and then we can talk a little bit more about those chord rings. So why don't I shrink these windows a little bit, like that. I'll bring up this back here, and I'll actually go ahead and change these chords. So let's change this chord to C major 7. Like that, and we'll go to G. Let's see, we're gonna go F. Let's go to A minor 7, and let's leave that G in there. I'll just play right along with it. Back to C major 7. There we go. And how about B minor 7? Oh, actually, no, not B minor 7. We're gonna do, let's do D minor 7. The more 7s you add, the more jazzy it sounds. And that may or may not be your genre. And I'll leave the C and C minor there. So let's try it. So there's a little bit of sounds with the major 7, minor 7 stuff in there. All right, good. You're still here. Nice. Would you say it is mostly memorization, like the 7 chords work with X scale? Or would it be more like knowing the rules, like I know the scale works with this chord because of the rule? I definitely like where you're going with this. Yes. I don't like to use the word memorization. I think for me, I would like to put understanding in front of memorization, because memorization on its own is not sustainable unless you are just depending constantly on a visual of the chords coming up next, which I did for a very long time, until I was like, you know what, I really want to actually know. I want to be free to play whatever I want to play at any given time. I don't want to, the only thing I want to see, if the chord is coming up next, I want to see the chords laid out so I can play somewhere else, not so that I can play a chord shape. I already know the chord shapes. So I would put understanding first. And the reason I started doing all of this is really because I just do not like anything I see out there. Nobody's teaching understanding, and maybe they're avoiding it for a specific reason, like they want to deter people because people just want to learn a tutorial of a song and be on their merry way. I know there's a percentage of people that do like to do that. And I have a lot of friends that are like that too. But if I were to tell you that there's an easier way in understanding how things are constructed in a certain way, and it would actually help you become a better player, would you take that pill or not take that pill? If you're not going to take that pill, then I'm not going to waste my time teaching you. So the funny thing is, there's only a few fundamental things that you need to absorb and understand, or you can call a little bit of memorization, sure. But once you recognize the pattern of a major family, a minor family, and then there's only a major scale and a minor scale that we use almost exclusively, besides modes, if you've heard the word modes before. Yes, there are awesome ways to use modes, but I wouldn't even touch them until you've mastered 80 to 90% of the songs that just use major scales and minor scales. It's only a repeating pattern. So when you say G major, D major, C major, they're all working off the same pattern. Whole step, half step pattern. So C major is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If you were to just pluck your finger down on the C here and do it, whole, whole, half, whole, 3 wholes, and a half. That's what we call the Ionian mode, but more popular we call it major mode. So D major, C major, G major, it's all the same exact pattern, that pattern right there. You're just changing the origin point, or what we call the tonic. So all I have to do is start here on G, and if I want to play a G major scale on one string, it's the same thing. Whole, whole, half, 3 wholes, and a half. The only difference from minor, it's the same exact pattern, you just start on a different part of that whole step, half step sequence. So let's get back to so before I go on too much of a tangent, let's get back to your question here. I would totally get this chord family absorbed, and then I would say definitely go to the red ring, which is the major 7s. Get really comfortable with those two. And look for songs that are in C. But also, if you're familiar with using Ultimate Guitar, which is a good website because you can transpose. So let's say a song that you want to learn it's a major song, but it's not in the key of C. If you were to change it, transpose it to the key of C, just temporarily, you could actually see the same exact chords being used. So you can make every song in C and see the pattern of how the chords change. And I don't know if that would help you, but I know for me, when I'm teaching somebody new for the first time, I will make them transpose it to that same key, especially if they're learning an instrument, a piano or a guitar, and just say, by the time you get to the third or fourth song in the key you see, you're like, I finally get it. I see, like, we're always starting on the 1 chord most of the time, and then we're going over and I see we're playing the 5 chord a lot. So there's like, it's all about pattern recognition is really what I'm trying to say. It's simple starting points with pattern recognition. Now, I don't know. Well, tell me, are you more of a singer-songwriter type, or are you wanting to do like lead playing or guitar fills? It doesn't have to be like shredding or anything. Just you want to make it sound good, like single notes, or are you just all about strumming and writing songs? Tell me what's your kind of like your focal point for music. And I'll jump back on here for a second. That's cool. All right, so he said, I do play guitar right now, but I'm trying to make chiptune music for games. Awesome. For guitar, mostly single notes, though. I like soloing. Okay, nice. Okay. Well, that is writing. It's still songwriting, even if in its simplest form or not. You're still working off the same fundamental principles of creating something. I feel like I wish I was teaching people some of these topics or ways to understand earlier on, because I had to teach myself my own method here. Now you'll see a lot. I use these smaller shapes up here. That's for a good reason, and I need to get rid of this window so you can actually see what I'm doing. I work on 3-note shapes because a fundamental chord is made up of 3 notes. We call it a triad. You might have heard that before or not. A triad, just like this, like a D chord. Most people are familiar with a D chord. That's actually one of the fundamental shapes on the highest 3 strings. So what I do is I break the guitar up into 4 groups of 3. Now this is very important. This is what really helped blow my mind when I started working with this method. So you have the highest 3 strings, right? A lot of the work can get done on those first 3 strings because when you're composing a band, or you're doing a band or something like that, your frequencies, like the lower notes, aren't as much needed because you have the kick drum, you have the bass guitar, they're all handling the low end, so the guitar can really shine in these higher 3 strings. That's not to say that you can't still play chords here, because this still adds a nice flavor. The cool thing is, if I want to play D like this, I'm actually thinking like a piano player. I don't know if you ever sat down at the piano, but when I learned piano, I learned these 3-note shapes, these triads, and it seemed very obvious to me to do that. Like you can see my piano almost over here, right? Yeah. But when we go to guitar, we say, oh, we have 6 strings, so I guess we have to use them all, right? We have to play these big chords. But that's not the case. You don't have to. So I was like, what if I just started creating these, just playing these or finding these 3-note shapes on the guitar? And what I realized is that there's only 3 major shapes, there's 3 minor shapes, and there's 3 diminished shapes. And the diminished ones are also important for when you're playing over something bluesy, like that. So look at that. For example, like D, there's 1, here's 2, here's 3. And then I can repeat that first one right there. So all I need to do is, if I'm going to go to another chord like G, I can play G here. It's the same shape as the one I just played here. And then if I can play, so I'll play G here, then I can play G here and here. I spent months and months hammering these things down, and I'm telling you, it really helped me be free of like having that question all the time. Where am I? What am I doing again? So if you look back at that chart, we had 3 major chords, right? So if we were going back in C major, we have the 3 C major chords. Let's give me 1 second. 1 second. I'm gonna play this. Just give me a second and get rid of my dog. All right. Sorry about that. I don't think he wanted to hear the barking the whole time. Boom. There we go. All right, let's walk this back really quick. I'm back in C major. I have a C, I have an F, and I have a G. Right? Here you go. A C, a F, and a G. I'm going to cover my ugly face up there. So C, F, and G. I spent a good couple of weeks just figuring out the 3 shapes for each one. So C, F, and here. You notice that they're the same exact shape for major. They might not be played in the same sequence, but this one, here's F, here's C, oops, sorry, and here's G. Oops. And that would probably be a good starting point. You just take one of those major shapes, just like that. Then I could do the same thing with another one of those major shapes. Here's C, F, and G. And then the final one is this D shape. Here's C, here's F, and here's G. Why don't we go back to jamming, so I'm not doing too much jabbering, and let's actually go, let's take this, I'm going to change this chord progression here. Now this is cool. In Logic, I'm actually using kind of, you could call it AI drumming and bass playing and guitar playing. Piano playing. It's nice because yes, I could sit here and track out a whole drum, bass, and piano part, but I want to get to a backing track really quick. So all I gotta do is just tell me the chord here. So let's do C, let's do F, and let's do G, just like that. And then I can repeat those. So all I'm going to do is just copy these like that and bring it over just like that. And now we have a repeating sequence where I can show you how these shapes really shine. And I'll put it on a little loop. See, just playing that one D shape. All right, I see that you had to go. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being a part of the chat. I really appreciate it. Come back and join me again next time. I'm gonna jam a little bit more on these shapes. If you have your instrument, feel free to jump in. I'll make this a little bit bigger. I'll get rid of this for a second. This. Make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Let's see, let's make it bigger so you can see the chord changes. Like that. Let's move this a little bit. There we go. That way you can still see my guitar. All right, there we go. See, just one shape right there. So just one shape I was doing right there. Now, if there's any guitar nerds out there, this shape is a root position shape. It's just C, E, G. I'm just playing C, E, G, F, A, C, G, B, D. Just like that. It actually comes from the A major shape that you might be familiar with, the open A major shape. This one. So the highest three notes of this shape is actually what I'm duplicating across the fretboard, right? I'm just taking those three high notes. I'm using C, F, and G. Let's do it again. Right, I can do that. So there's only three major shapes, so I just used one of them. Let's do another one. I'm gonna do the second major shape. All right, let's do the next one. So I'm just working off of, I probably need to grab another chart here, but if you can start just jotting down, just work with these three major shapes. Like, don't even go nuts, because the more information overload you have, there's more brain frying that's going to happen to you. So that's all I really did, was I just spent time working through each one of these. And here's another cool point. With these shapes comes scale building. So rather than looking at the dots on the paper, right, just straight up black and white dots, which is just, it has no purpose. It's not purpose driven work. All I have to do is just, if I take one of these shapes, if I play a note below one of these fingers and a note above each one of these fingers, I have a bunch of notes at my disposal. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's just make all of this C, so I can just work on that. All right, so I just did one string, right? I just did here. A note below is here. A note above. So just a half step below and a whole step above. I'm not even thinking about the letter. What you can do is layer your thinking. Start with just the way it feels, the physical part of it. It's a half step down, it's a whole step up. Okay, well, I'm on C, so if I go backwards in the alphabet, it's B. If I go up in the alphabet from C, it's a D. So boom, now I've actually spent a few more brain cells on adding the notes to associating those letters to the parts of the frets there. I'm gonna do it again, but now we're gonna use the next string. Right, so the funny thing is it's gonna sound like a nursery rhyme, kind of, because you're not changing the chord. So it's not as harmonically interesting. We're staying on one chord. So I did a whole step down this time and a half step up. So it was actually like the inverse of what I was just doing before. So this note is an E. So I was going down in the alphabet to D and then up in the alphabet to F. So now let's add those two strings with those two step spacings. All right? When the chord changes, it'll get more interesting. Now let's do the final string where I'm going to play a note below and a note above this finger. Right, so this one I'm on G. If I go a whole step down in the alphabet, I'm back to C, D, E, F. So I'm on F. I go down to F, I go up to A. Now I have a whole bunch of notes. All those notes, I just built a scale rather than looking at a chart. I just took a simple shape, that's my anchor. The shape is the anchor. Why don't I play them all for just a few bars, and then I'll go and I'll put in a new chord, and then we'll try the same concept on the second chord. All right, so now that you have more notes at your disposal, you can talk a little bit more. Let's add a G chord. Actually, you know what? Let's add an F chord. I want to do an F chord instead. So let's add an F. And we'll just alternate those two chords together. Like that. C, F, C, F. Like that. Doesn't want to, hold on. Doesn't want to copy for me, does it? There we go. There we go. All right, let's try this. Same shape. I'm going to play the same shape here for the F, so that way it looks familiar. And I'm going to play a note above and below. Now you might have to use your ear at first and see if the note sounds correct or not. Otherwise, you can be extra smart and you can count up the notes. And with the letters there, just a few letters away, and figure it out that way. Alright, so I can actually do the same amount of spacing. The phrasing there is the same. So, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. Same shape, keeping it easy. Let's do it again. Boom. Now you can, for the next go around, you can add the next pair of strings spacing here. So the next string in this shape was whole step, half step. All right, this one's gonna be whole step, whole step. All right, let's go to the next string. All right, that next string, a note above and below. I played 2 notes above, so my bad. When the note below is going to be here. So a half step below and a whole step above. See, the more that you can build upon this, the more creative you can be. It'll take some time, but if you have a focused effort and purpose, following a chord and using the chord tones of the chord will get you way closer to soloing than just a scale alone. Like how about I just play a boring old scale? I'll try to make it sound good, but I bet you it's gonna sound a little just too more in the box. Right, it doesn't sound terrible, but it's a little too locked in. Let's check in on the chat. Hello in there. Who's anyone? Send me a little hello and let me know who's in there. I see one. We got one viewer. We got 2 viewers. How's it going? Got to connect with the people that are coming in and checking me out here. Got any questions? Drop them in the chat. I'll feel free to answer. You want me to play a funky chord and explain how I build it? That's cool. You want to have a question just about songwriting or anything in general, chord progressions or whatnot? Drop something in the chat. All right, nobody has any questions? That's fine. Thanks for coming in and checking out. Let's jump back in and do some blue stuff. How about that? We'll play back in here. Let's move this over here. Forgot that's my ending section. Let's go back and loop that. Welcome, people who are arriving. If you got a question, drop it in. Gonna be finishing up the live stream shortly, but if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to drop it in there. Otherwise, I'll just keep on jamming. And if you got your guitar, you can jam along with me. The chords are right there on the Logic screen. Alright, so thank you for stopping by my open jam. It's my first one, so I don't expect there to be tons of people coming in here just yet. But I like to do this every week. And if you did stop by, thank you so much. I'll post this video up here just in a little bit, and hopefully you learned something from it. And I'll see you on the next jam.